everybody, and welcome. This is Ask Me Anything for the Cardano Budget Committee. Today we are here to help answer any questions you might have about the ongoing process to perform resource allocation for the Cardano blockchain, and be a part of the team that is going to bring a set of budgets to the DReps over the next month or so. As we work through April, we're going to all of the budget line items that have been provided by community members so far to Intersect, as well as the ones that the Intersect committees have worked on over the last several months, are all being compiled, and in just a few days they're going to all be released on GovTool, and with an interface that's going to allow DReps to begin to provide their feedback, their desires, the changes they'd like to see, their comfort levels with the various proposals, with an end result being the idea that we would put an info action forward for all of those proposals if they would like to be included, so that we have a nice consensus-driven, consensus-built budget that includes lots of line items from the community and shared out to the DReps so that they can make a decision on it, and move into the fully into the Voltaire era, where we have the Cardano community in charge of its destiny. So good to see everybody. Welcome. I see we've got a question from Tex, or an opportunity to give an AMA session focused on GMC's prepared budget. Nope, this is exactly the right spot for that, Tex. We are going to start doing, as of next week, the AMA schedule. We're going to get the AMA schedule up this week, and as of next week, the AMAs will be very focus driven on specific topics. So like the GMC can have an entire AMA all for itself, several AMAs entirely for themselves. Strongly encourage anyone who is a vendor that is putting forward a proposal, come and let's do an AMA together. We will try to be focused on topics so that DReps will know, like, these are highly technical, these are marketing focused, these are governance focused. So if a DRep has a particular interest or a particular expertise that they'd like to lend to this part of it, they'll know where they can best go to do that. So I hope that's helpful. I want to say hi to everybody in the room. I see Alex. Welcome, Alex. Min, good to see you. Tex, as I mentioned you a minute ago. Christina, good to see you as well. Simo, hey. Welcome, everybody. Glad to have you. So if there's any questions, this is an open forum today. So the way we work with the open forum is very straightforward. We take any questions you might have. We give some updates of what's going on in the space right now. And if you do have a question, we ask you to try to keep it to around 2 minutes, unless there's not a crowd. And today the crowd's pretty light, so we're pretty flexible. And if you have a follow-up, one follow-up's great, but if there's other people waiting, do one follow-up and then get to the back of the queue, let other people get their questions answered, and then we'll come back to yours. That's really the only ground rules here. So it's good to see everybody. It's a happy Tuesday morning here on the East Coast of the U.S., but it could be afternoon or evening wherever you are, so appreciate you being here.
No questions, Lloyd. Good morning. I was just popping on to see what the conversation would be and to follow other people's questions. I thank you again for clarifying and putting that forum post up there that, kind of reiterated the April 24th, because I kind of felt like lone man on an island over here being like, no, you got a couple more weeks. And everybody's like, prove it. Just trust me, bro.
Oh yeah, we can't do trust me, bro here, right? And yeah, no, as you know, there was audio problems or all kinds of problems that episode.
I know.
So
of course it had to be that day, right?
of course, right? So, but we were able to recover the audio, and so we were able to pull the exact stuff out, and that's when we were able to share the transcripts part, the transcript answers so far. And we're working on getting that audio so where we can publish it on YouTube. It requires you to put some kind of video with it, so we'll have that out done in the next day or so here. So yeah, we'll recover, but stuff happens. Things may break, as the Catalyst folks like to say.
We're used to it. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. So, but yeah, a couple of updates. We're working toward the we've done a couple surveys. There've been a couple surveys put out through like the DRep forum. There was one that was put out. It's like a Google form, which is a secondary follow-up to that, asking the DReps, how they want to handle these next steps. Uh, Happy to say it's not quite closed yet, but I think everything's closing today. I'm just not quite sure what time. I think it's noon UTC that the survey ends. But as of right now, very fond the community seems very fond of a hybrid approach. They want to participate whether they're in person or virtually. They want to be able to participate in the process. That's wonderful. That's for governance. It's probably the most important things. People want to participate. And they were very firm on a hybrid model. The second survey, the one that was the Google form, as of late last night, I checked it. The last time I checked was last night before bed. I haven't had a chance this morning yet. But overwhelmingly, it was a virtual followed by a hybrid in person was like the highest, most effective vote. The second most effective vote was multiple hybrids followed by an in-person, but we're sticking with the multiple virtuals. We're doing multiple in-person small events, and we'll also add an end event that is a hybrid event. As of right now, that's looking like first week of May. I don't have that fully down, but if you look at Jack Brake's blog from yesterday that he posted, he was showing it was either last week of April, first week of May. I think everybody's leaning toward first week of May to give people the maximum amount of time to plan for it if they want to be there in person, and but also avoid the serious issue of not getting through this process and delaying funding for core infrastructure development, maintenance, and all those things. We don't want to delay any of that stuff. So this is we think feels like, at least between the surveys of the DReps and what we are able to do in the time frame, that seems like the best approach to keep things moving. So that's it's up to the minute thinking there. Nothing is set in stone yet. We are still very much in this process and still very much trying to make sure we get all the feedback possible from the surveys, and then make the best decision that we can with the data.
So the
A
one
little bit
thing
of
I
an
would
update.
just add would be to check with the community. And I mean, I guess we just need to keep encouraging the community to use like Cardano calendar.io. I know that Lido Nation has an event in Nigeria the first week in May. And that was the first thing that came to my mind when you said that. So that might really limit some participants.
It could. So yeah, and that is not something I was. You're right. It's not something that I was aware of. I know we had originally talked about the last week in April was where we were trying to put the event. That seemed to be, that was what kept us completely on the original timeline that we had. Where the 1st of June we'd be putting in
Yeah. I mean,
the
that's going to be
treasury
the big
withdrawals.
challenge with doing this in person stuff, Lloyd, is it's not even just about the privilege of being able to attend these things, because it is indeed a luxury and a privilege, but just like the timing and stuff. So an online thing would allow people to multitask and attend multiple things.
Yes, but that's exactly the problem when you're trying to do something as important as the resource allocation for the, significant portion of the blockchain, right? And that's why it's like,
Yeah, but at the same token, I don't think it's fair that we're, targeting only the largest DRep, as then we're just saying, okay, well, you didn't get enough votes, so you're not really that important. And that's not the right message either.
it's totally not. And I can tell you that nothing in our planning is doing it that way. Our planning is, you do have to recognize top delegated DReps that have the most delegation. We also were recognizing top DReps by the number of delegators. We want that group to be recognized as well. And then, as I've said from the earliest days, any in-person event has to include some kind of a lottery that anyone that's not in that group has the opportunity to seek resources to travel to the event so that they also can participate, because that's how you build your future of your governance, is you allow people that maybe don't have the means right now and haven't developed the delegation yet, have the opportunity to go and participate meaningfully in the event, right? Because if you do that,
Yeah, but I mean,
now
you're relying on these people who don't have large bases to suddenly also have money.
no, that's why I said a lottery. It's that everybody that's being asked to attend, there will be a travel stipend for that group to be able to attend, and that would include the group
So
that would
it's a
have.
lottery now. It's not targeting just the largest DReps. It could be
Yeah,
a mix of everybody.
it was never the largest only. It never was. Like I know that got
Thank you.
pressed around. I remember, when that, early on that was like
It
shared as
did.
though
It
that
did a
was what
lot.
was
So that's
happening.
and I'm still seeing people talking about it.
Well, because that's an easy narrative to tell, even though that narrative's not true, right, Christina? I mean, ultimately that was
Yeah,
actually
it
never
would
the
just help to
plan.
have these things in writing, like when we put it down and we can point people and say, no, this is the actual plan. That's always been such a help.
And I can tell you we've been building a PowerPoint with this as we've been going, but again, we're literally developing it in real time. We took the original plan that I mean, you and I actually had this conversation right when it happened back in February, when everybody was like, "Oh, it's like DRep suicide if you go to an in-person event." It's like, really? Like, they because they were making the assumption that we would only allow the top DReps to come, and in reality, we had built a thing that would have allowed. At the time, there was like 600 DReps, and we had the main room had 350, and we had an overflow room with another 150 that we had found. Right. So we were like, everybody can come, and we wanted everybody to come, but that event obviously it didn't happen. There was no
And
time and no
yeah,
resources,
the
but
funds required for that are humongous. And I definitely
exactly.
remember a lot of people saying that was not how they wanted people spending the budget treasury, especially when they didn't even get a say in it.
Exactly. And look, so we listened, we didn't follow through on that proposal. It was an idea that was being floated to see where we could go with it. What has turned into is this model, which is much more um, safe and
What's the
responsible
cost
model.
associated with this plan?
Actually, I don't have it yet, but they did the cost for Nairobi, which is that's actually what's being floated. It's going back to Nairobi like we had for our alternate location for the Constitutional Convention. It was actually the lowest cost of any of the in-person events, and so it's very cost effective to go there. It's also really nice. I think that it was the second location choice for the Constitution, so it's really nice if we get it to be you know the first choice for this event. It's really easy for
Oh, I
anyone with visas. The only requirement other that it has is like a vaccine requirement. And then we're doing it hybrid, so even the people that don't want to go or don't have any reason they don't want to do the vaccine or whatever, they could still attend hybrid. So
yeah,
it's
I applaud the diversity
yeah,
because it is not fair nor right to always have things in just like one or two places. So 100% I'm behind that.
totally agree. So yeah, so
But
this has
I'll be
just been
excited to see the
tweaked.
figures when you guys have more of that information to share. Are you
Yeah,
expecting that in like the next week or so? Or
yeah,
because
next
I know
couple of
everything's
days.
coming together so quick.
Exactly. So that's the bottom line is that literally the final decision has to be made right now. I'm just telling you, it's not speculative. We know these are the things we're thinking. These are the things we want to accomplish. We know the venue is good with the dates. At least they were with the April dates. We're still verifying the May dates right now. You see what I mean? But like that's where we're trying to get that all squared away. But as soon as we have those numbers down, um, we'll be able to share everything. And that's the idea. We'll share it all. We'll show what's going
Appreciate it.
on, and yeah, and
Yeah, I mean, we
you know,
just want to see the information too. And you're saying you're still working on it. It's not there yet, and that's the answer. That's fine.
cool. Appreciate it. Let's see. We've had some other folks join us as well, Christina, while we've been chatting. Let's say hello to Nadia. Hello, Nadia. Hi, Elaine. Hi, Elijah, Utah, and Joe. Welcome, everybody. Good to see all of you. We're here to answer questions for you today. Christina and I were just chatting up the venues the venue that we're looking at, and kind of the rough estimate. We're still finalizing the dates and all of that kind of stuff for the final in-person event. But it's important to note all of the stuff leading up to that in-person event is as critical, if not more critical, to get everything together. And that in-person event isn't the end-all be-all where we must have everything in place and run. As I talked about before, we're aiming for 70% of perfect right now for the budget. We're aiming for what is the most important stuff that we can all come to an agreement on, and still continue the process after that 70% gets finished. The beauty of the way this design is that there's no one budget. It's not how this has to work. We're able to get to the things that we get to consensus on, get those things across, and then we can continue having discussions. We could add additional budgets this year if people have the appetite for it, or we could be preparing for 2026's budget, both of which are not only all right with me. I think that's the right approach. Is we get into a cycle where we are continually developing the next things that need to be developed on Cardano, and when the DReps feel that they should be resourced to do whatever that work is, that we assign those resources and get them out. The original design of this was we tried to do a once annual budget. The DReps have spoken. That's not what they're really looking for. They like multiple budgets. We have the multiple budgets written in the Constitution. So we'll be here as Intersect to be facilitators, the partners in your work to get your item that you want to have resources assigned to, and then help you with the accounting side if you need it, with the auditing side if you need it. Just be your facilitation partner in getting this through. So, Christina, go ahead with your question.
You mentioned the 70% again, and we had a little bit of dialogue back and forth on the forum about that. My understanding with that is the 70% is just like a fictitious number. You just kind of grabbed it because that's a good percent to go for. And that we're not actually targeting a 70% of something, because I don't even know 70% of what. 70% of the proposals that come through, 70% of the original Intersect idea of a budget. What are we talking about here? Can you clarify?
Sure, Christina. So have you ever heard the 80-20 rule, right? Where, it's like 80% of your effort should go to 20%. Well, that makes you the most money kind of thing. Well, it's kind of that sort of that philosophy. We're just trying to say we don't have to reach a perfect budget that meets everyone's needs right now out the gate. We won't do that. We're never going to get it that right the first time. So it's more like an expectation setting number than it is any kind of, oh, well, we've got this budget that this is what 100% looks like, and we've got to get 70% of this 100% budget. It's nothing like that. It's more like an expectation set or a level set where we're just trying to
What is the percentage measuring here?
If we get 70% of what we need to do in a year figured out.
Define need. Wait, nope. Who gets to define need? Choose the words differently. What is this 70% covering? So if we get 70% of DReps?
No, it's more like 70% of it's this resource allocation. We're not really talking about we're talking about the DReps because they're the decision makers. And we're trying to give the DReps. Okay,
I'm just talking about the numbers. You keep using the 70-30 comparison, and I'm asking, is that a percentage of the proposals, a percentage of the net change limit that gets set? Is it a percentage of what Intersect thought? What is the percentage of? I'm missing that part.
Okay, well, so there's going to be a group of proposals that are going to come across. Some of those proposals will be from Intersect. Some of them will be from community members. Some of them will be from wherever they come in from. So we're going to have this group of proposals. Somewhere in around 70% of those proposals are things that we already know need to be done. They're already things that have pretty good consensus.
But that comes down to Intersect's opinion.
Sure.
And not the DReps. So you're saying we're expecting to pass about 70% of the proposals, but we don't even know how many are coming through or what amounts or anything.
Well, that's why
I appreciate the answer. I'm just truly,
That's why we're not even saying just Intersect. We're saying of all the proposals that come across the desk, because there's only been a little bit that isn't directly assigned to the roadmap already, right? There's a lot that's come
Well, and
across
the
that's like,
roadmap was very limited too, because it wasn't
exactly.
intended for this. So
Um,
again, though, this percentage thing is really killing me. But I'm going to let it go and see if anybody else has anything else they want to talk about. I'm just confused with the 70% of an unknown amount of proposals with an unknown dollar amount. But you're saying it's not really 70%. You were just using that as a number and nobody should take it seriously.
I just think there's a middle ground here, Christina. You're like, oh, it's meaningless, or it's the most important thing in the room here. It's not. It's literally when I work in the
Numbers are
humans
supposed to be pretty simple and straightforward. Numbers are supposed to match something. And that's
numbers.
all I was trying to get is what is the percentage that we're calculating? But again, I'll drop this now and see if anybody else has anything else they want to talk about.
No worries. All right, thanks,
I
Christina.
really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else have any questions this morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are? Elaine?
Yeah. Hey.
Hi there.
So I have a question about the open Intersect funding proposal stuff going on.
Sure.
And for before I ask the question, I just want to check are you guys having like a section later on that will answer that or anything that I should save the question for, or should I just shoot it now?
Just shoot it now. I'm happy to take it.
Okay, cool. So I'm currently looking to submit a proposal for funding for new startup that I'm working on. I'm the CTO at IDA. And so we're a company that is trying to utilize Hydra in particular in the Japanese points market. So if you're not super familiar, basically Japanese people really like rewards points. There's a lot of tax incentives. There's a lot of consumer retention, benefits. There's a lot of deals that consumers get. So it's very much a win-win program. We have some stuff that we want to do with government partners in particular. We think that it will highly benefit, the local communities that we're trying to partner with in rural Japan. Our goal is to, revitalize them through attracting spending and, stuff of that nature. And currently we have something around of a 1 billion yen annual revenue estimate, just based off of our partners coming from a legacy Web2 points-based company. So all that said, we're looking to basically get funding right now to start up the company, right? Hire maybe another engineer besides me. So we were thinking about applying to Intersect for funding for that on the grounds that I heard somewhere that one of the main KPIs being measured for Intersect funding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, was will this return additional treasury revenue? And what we're proposing is very primarily transaction focused. We have high estimates of the revenue that we'll be getting. Now, with that said, we started looking into the particulars to make sure that we can do any application correctly and stuff. And we saw that there's an incubator program now, but that doesn't really seem entirely for what we're going for. We're going to do quite a bit of open source, especially on Hydra stuff, where I used to be a contributor and I plan to contribute more for this current project. The accelerator program, which seems like it's not a primarily a grant thing. It seems, if I'm understanding it correctly, it seems more like a workshop, an accelerator in the conventional sense, where you get to talk to VCs, you get training, and they groom you on preparing proposals and stuff. That seems very appealing, and we're applying to that too. But I wanted to check that a product like this, where our MVP is going to be open source, sure, but it is a for-profit project. Is this something that can be submitted to the Intersect open proposal stuff to be voted on, or is this something that should be submitted elsewhere?
Okay. Thanks, Elaine. I could give you a couple of bits of clarity here that I think might help. First of all, any proposal no matter no matter what KPI it meets, no matter anything, Intersect doesn't stop any proposal that's going through this forum to getting before the DReps. So any and every proposal is welcome. So just so you know that I appreciate your thinking about the KPIs because that is important. And I believe the things that we say about KPIs, things like that, are what we believe is right. We have an opinion, and that's the opinion that we typically have is that things that bring more transaction volume to the chain. This is a very, very easy opinion to agree with. Is that anything that brings transaction volume to the chain is something that should go on Cardano, right? Now, where it gets funded and how it gets funded, that's a question. Ultimately, it is between you and the DReps. If the DReps choose to fund your proposal, then that's the easy answer is that yes, the DReps think that what you've provided is good enough and it should be funded and therefore it's funded. Where Intersect would come in for that is things like the audit process. So you have to go through a financial audit in order if you were to receive funds from the Treasury. So Intersect can support you in the financial audit side. It can support you in technical audits as well. There are, within the TSC, there is, a whole group of people that do technical audits. So we could help you align with a group to do technical audits for you if you needed that. So there's lots of things that Intersect could help you with along the way if you were to choose Intersect as your administrator. But that's ultimately that forum doesn't even require you to choose Intersect as an administrator. If you had an option to turn that on, turn that off, right? So you could even pick a different administrator and still fill the form out. The forum is to help gather the details so that the DReps have a place to look with a group of proposals to look at. So absolutely by all means apply. No matter what on there. And that way you get the opportunity for the DReps to tell you yes or no on that particular thing. Now, as for the, I see Tex is here. Tex, do you have any more details on that accelerator program right now? Oh yeah, he's not feeling well, so he's going to type in the chat there. So if you don't mind, Elaine, while we wait for text to chat, I'm going to take a quick review through the questions that are in chat right now, and then I'll come back to answer your question. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. I'm here all night.
Yeah, let's see. First with Joe, the cost of the audit service. Joe, we're going to have to. We're definitely working on what that's going to look like. It's not productized right now, so there's no easy one answer that says this is what an audit's going to cost. We're working on that. The audit working group is actually, I'm meeting with the audit working group a little later this morning, our time. And so we're moving that process forward. But I don't have an easy answer to that just yet. And I see Utah, I saw a post from a budget committee member wondering about the budget task force. Will be leading the new budget process. And so Utah, the budget task force, as it were, it's the same exact group that did the constitutional workshops. It's not in charge of anything. It's a servant group. It's just doing things like, oh, well, the DReps did say they want an event as a part of this process, so we had to pull together the people that do events and those kinds of things. So it's the program manager from that group is simply jumped in to help get the budget process moved through. The budget committee is still in charge of making the decisions on things like the net change limit, which they had an agreement on Monday to go ahead and put forward Intersect's version of the net change limit, which I don't believe it's dropped yet, but it should be dropping at some point today. Once that's out, we'll be able to all take a look. But it's been socialized for several weeks now in GovTools proposal forum, and it's been updated with all of the feedback. Because there's a tremendous amount of feedback on how the net change limit should be shaped, and so that should be coming out shortly. But that was the budget committee's decision. Ultimately, even the educational material that we're producing goes to the budget committee for approval. So all of that work is going on apace. But yeah, the budget task force, and I guess I don't really think there was confusion, interestingly enough, with that particular post, because he had literally like minutes before, been given hey, they're going to the person who's in charge of the program manager is going to be at the meeting on Monday and he's going to give you guys a full update, which he did, and the minutes are already posted in the knowledge base for the budget committee with all the updates that he provided. And that's the stuff I'm giving you today about the meetings and and all that work, because that's all of the updates that were given to the committee on Monday. And the requirements for an administrator, that's actually very open according to the Constitution. The Constitution doesn't give us really strict definitions on what an administrator is. What Intersect is attempting to do is lead the way by being what they consider a good administrator, right? They're trying to say this is what we think an administrator should look like. So that's a question from Joe. Thank you for that one, Joe, as well. Nadia has a question. Hi, team. I was hoping to confirm the exact expectations of the timeline and requirements for the Intersect budget submission. It's specific to timelines, not to align with the roadmap or the application itself. So, okay. And is March 31st benchmark just for submissions that can be made prior to Intersect releasing for public review? Yes, Nadia, that is exactly correct. The 31st isn't a deadline. The 31st that's the day we're going to release everything that's been consolidated up to that point. And we will have, the form will then be, on the system that publishes each of the different proposals. So at that point, when you fill the form out, instead of it going, to a database and then going to the page, it's just immediately going to go to the page. So that's what that's there for. The original form was literally a placeholder to get to this point. So that's what we were trying to do there. Is there somewhere that explains that submission to review to vote process clearly that teams could reference when applying? There is, and I apologize, I don't have the link right now with me, but I'll get the link for you. It's on the Intersect main knowledge base. So if you go to the Intersect website, go to knowledge base, look on the left-hand side, there is a 2025 submission process link, and it has how to fill out the form, all of that kind of information. It's right there in the knowledge base. So I hope that helps you, Nadia. And I do see you have a meeting coming up, so you have to check back later. So I'll follow up with you that way. Joe asks, is transaction volume not the only criteria? Joe, there's actually no criteria per se. The DReps decide the criteria. There's no criteria from Intersect whatsoever. We can't. That's not our job, right? So, but what we do is recommend criteria, and one of the ones that we do recommend is to look at transaction volume. No, not every project is going to affect transaction volume, but that is a criteria that you could review. There are others, think about, what would a key performance indicator be for something that's a marketing project? It could be new wallets or, activity of a sort, like a specific kind of activity on chain, or a measurable activity on social media, or whatever. So there could be lots of different metrics that could be used. It's really a matter of what the DReps choose for their metrics. Yeah, and number of people who use crypto but don't use fiat could be an interesting one. Populations that have their own infrastructure due to disparity in access. Those are all things that absolutely could be the case. And it looks like, Lane, I've got to your question that Tex had now. He shared a document here in the chat, and per points 1 and 2 under the scope of work, I would read this for the project in question. You could apply and be eligible to attend the courses sessions hosted regarding how to submit a successful Catalyst proposal and what to do after to continue the growth. It's still dependent upon this item being approved, right? So that accelerator program, that's an interesting point that Tex is making there, is if you're new to Cardano and haven't used Catalyst before, this is the kind of thing to get you on that track of being able to go to Catalyst, get an initial idea, kind of verified, validated, do the initial work. And then once you've done that work, then there's these next steps after that work that would keep getting you the funding you needed to grow your business. Now, from the sounds of it, you probably are beyond that. You've already said you were on the Hydra team. You've probably got enough experience in Cardano that may not be the direction you need, but you may be looking for maybe a later stage acceleration. I know I saw, yeah, Nico's on the call. That's another thing. I do know Foundation's got some, their own kind of VC type of thing that they're working on right now. Nico, you might be able to speak to that if you have a moment. And then I know Emergo has some stuff like that as well. So there are different organizations within the ecosystem that have some of that kind of next stage funding available, that might be a good option for you as well. Not saying no to the treasury thing, just saying that, in addition to the treasury thing, that might be something that you might also consider looking at, right? So
Thank you. That clarified like most of the questions I had about that stuff. It's more like open freeform than I had imagined. So yeah, thank you.
awesome. You're welcome. Glad to be helpful. Would it be possible to share how many proposals have already been submitted by oh wow. Good morning, everyone. Is it possible to give the details on how many proposals have been submitted via the form? Got it right that time. Nico, I just don't have that number right now. I could try to keep that one in my back pocket, right? Over the next few days here as we get closer. We do have another AMA on Thursday. So I'll try, I will do my best to have that updated number by Thursday. There were a few, 3 to 5 that had initially, gone forward. We've spoken to a few more since then of people that are writing proposals. We do know that there's a group that did the node, and that one is moving forward. It's not submitted yet, but there were some questions for that group that was working on putting. It was a combination of people from 3 or 4 of the larger vendors and a couple of 2 or 3 of our smaller vendors as well, doing various parts of the node work that needs to be done in 2025. So it was pretty cool to see that one kind of coalesce on its own, and come in and recognize those names when that one drops. It's like Sam and all the folks that do that work every day. It was really neat to see kind of them all come together and say, hey, this is what we think we need to do during 2025 to keep moving forward. So that was a really cool one. There'll be others similar to that coming across. And like I said, I've heard from various people that have different things. And like we're hearing from Elaine today, this is the kind of stuff that's just kind of starting to bubble up. And it's like, this is awesome. We're going to see all this get in there and give the DReps the opportunity. Another one I've seen is there's a DCA stable coin type of group that they've been working on putting a proposal together. So I've reached out to them as well. And hope to hear back from them, see if they're going to come in through this route or not. We know they've put some proposal stuff out on, they have their stuff on the proposal forum right now already. So that's really neat. So there's stuff bubbling up. Some of it's coming through this process, some of it's not. That's what we're here for, is to try and help direct it as we need to. So, oh, and Nico said he couldn't chat right now, but he did give you the link, Elaine, here in the chat, the Venture Hub link. So that is there for you if you want to grab that link, and that is one of those areas that could be helpful.
Yeah, that's actually super helpful. I hadn't previously seen this. I had only seen the Emergo Ventures page, so that's super helpful. Thank you.
Awesome, glad to help. All right, so we're got about a little over 15 minutes left in the session today. If folks need any other questions answered, so I am here. It was a little bit of a marathon through the chat, but if there's any other questions that I can answer, I'm going to throw this out one more time today. This has been some confusion around the proposal. People are saying that if they put their information in the proposal request, that they would then be responsible for coming up with the 100,000 ADA to put their proposal in. That is not true. That is 100% not true. If you bring your proposal in through this process and it goes all the way through the consolidation and comes out the other side, and we've got a budget that is collaborated on, that the DReps are happy with, that we've got a good consensus on, We're going to put 100,000 ADA deposit down, and those proposals that have good consensus are going to be in there, and nothing else. That's all that's going to be in there. And so, no, you don't have to have the 100,000 ADA for yourself to get that proposal through, because we'll have gone through this consent process and built a bundle of proposals that make sense, that the DReps have high confidence will pass through the full rest of the process. And then the Treasury withdrawals themselves will be those individual items as needed. So that's just, I've heard several times now, and I'm like, no, you definitely, I understand where it come from, because obviously the on-chain action's 100,000 ADA, but this form filling this out, there's no ADA requirement for that at all. So hope that's helpful to everybody. Joe says there's an indigenous infrastructure project and a strategic marketing initiative combining a number of recognized projects. And that's awesome, Joe. If you need any support in getting your proposal or proposals together, please let us know. If there's anything that anyone at Intersect can do, I'm happy to help you. And I know there's several other folks on the procurement team and otherwise that are happy to help get proposals through the forum. So please let us know if we can be of any assistance there. Utah, over the past few weeks, some members of the community have provided feedback 350 million ADA is too large if we go by the logic matching the inflow in 2025. So, Utah, I actually want to address that one directly. This is super important, and I really appreciate you bringing this one up, because we're not matching the inflows of 2025. We're actually using the inflows of 2024. What we're proposing is that the previous year's income be the net change limit. So we would propose that we go, and this is actually where the 350 million number came from, was we were matching 2024's inflows. In October of 2024, when we were doing the math and looking at everything and the projections were going in, they were projecting around 351 million ADA. And so that is why the number came out at 350 million ADA, was that we were matching the inflows that were expected in 2024. Now, it hasn't changed to this. I'm suggesting that we could actually run our net change limit like October to October. So we could, or even September to September. We pick a date. It's not, the date itself is not terribly important, but we could simply do our net change limit based on a period of time in the past, and that period of time, the deposits, the income from that period of time could be the net change limit. And we could have that exercise every year. And that way it wouldn't be a guess in any way, shape, or form. It would just be on what that past period of time was. And the reason that we put the net change limit at 350 was precisely that we were only estimating a couple of months of numbers rather than trying to figure out, crystal ball a full year. But we could also step it back and just simply do a September to September, or like whatever dates we wanted to, in order to do that. So I hope that's helpful, Utah. And we agree, trying to figure out and trying to match 2025 would be difficult, especially this early in 2025. Instead, what we're advocating is actually a past performance number, not a future performance number. Oh yeah, and thank you, Christina. Christina just put in chat she's happy to look over anyone's proposal. She's got fantastic experience. I've worked with Christina in Catalyst a couple of times when we were doing some of the Catalyst reviews, like after action stuff with Catalyst. So she's a fantastic resource. Thank you so much, Christina, for offering your time up for folks as well. Really appreciate that. I think that's amazing. That's what I love about this community. People step up and do all kinds of really great stuff to help one another grow in the space. So thank you, Christina, for offering that. That is awesome. That's stellar. And on that note, guys, thank you for sharing your time and attention with us this morning. Your attention is your most precious resource. When you share it with the Cardano community, you are doing wonders. You are doing amazing things to build up this great community. So thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you guys next time.